the first person walks in and buys something for $120, a second person walks in and buys something for $80. So you have two people who converted out of 100 people, so you have a conversion rate of 2%, and you have an average order value of $100. Hello everyone, and today we're going to discuss two very important metrics for any business, but specifically for e-commerce brands: the conversion rate and the average order value. And I'm also going to share some tips on how to manage growth marketing experiments to improve these metrics for a business from what I've learned implementing CRO and AOV experiments for multiple e-commerce brands. So let's get started. First, I'm going to explain the two metrics very simply to you. So what is conversion rate? Conversion rate is basically the number of people that convert on your store from the number of people who actually visit your store. So consider a shop, for example, where people could walk in and buy products. So let's say 100 people walk into the shop in a day and 2 people actually buy products in the shop. So that's a 2% conversion rate. So 2 out of 100 people buy a product from the shop. Similarly, average order value now is, on an average, how much does a person pay when they shop inside this place. So let's say, for example, the first person walks in and buys something for $120. A second person walks in and buys something for $80. So you have 2 people who converted out of 100 people, so you have a conversion rate of 2%, and you have an average order value of $100 because the first person bought something for $120 and the second person bought something for $80. So that's your average order value. Now you can already see how the entire e-commerce business is based off of these two metrics. Right? So the more conversion rate you have and the higher the average order value, that's basically going to tell us what can be the top line of your business. So these two metrics will give a good image about the top line of the business. And once you know that this is my funnel, so they sort of define your overall funnel metrics, then you can see how much traffic do you need to drive to your store, to your website, or to your store in order to achieve the revenue numbers that you finally want to achieve. So let me give you an example. Let's say your conversion rate is 2% and your average order value is $100, just like we saw in the example. Now, if you want to make $1 million in revenue, now you can easily work out how many people need to buy from you with an average order value of $100. And since you know your conversion rate is 2%, you can work backwards and see how many people do you actually need to bring to your store in order to get those sales. So you will be able to define then that this is the traffic I need to drive to the website in order to make $1 million. And then you have to start working on your acquisition to see how you can drive that traffic. So with those basics in place, let's get into growth marketing experimentation. Now, what I always talk about with growth marketing experimentation is a lot of split testing, A/B testing, changing variables, trying different experiments, coming up with ideas and executing them to see how they change these metrics. So I'm going to give you a few tips on running growth experiments to improve your conversion rate and average order value. Now, the first tip is, if you're starting out with growth marketing, if you're a new store or if you're new to growth marketing itself, make sure that you experiment with one metric at a time. So first, focus your experiments on improving conversion rate and then move to focus on average order value. And the reason is that conversion rate and average order value have a very complicated relationship. And in most cases, you'll find that the kind of experiments that you can do on your e-commerce store to improve your conversion rates may not also improve the average order value at the same time. In fact, in most cases, you'll find a reverse relationship between conversion rate optimization and average order value optimization. And it's funny how much we talk about CRO or conversion rate optimization and how little we talk about average order value optimization. But it's just a fact that you'll have to take both these metrics hand in hand. However, you will still not be able to find many experiments which focus on improving both the metrics at the same time. So let me give you an example to explain this. Let's say, for example, you have customers coming to your product page, and then once they add a product to cart, you want to show, you want to cross-sell or upsell. So let's say you want to show a few other products that the customer might add to the cart. Now, this experiment, if you try it on your store, can improve your average order value because now the person, your user, has other options of other products that they may also add to the cart. Right? Another example of this is the frequently bought together widget. So you can run an experiment on your store running a frequently bought together widget to see if people also add another product to the cart. Now the challenge here is now that they've already added the first product to the cart, you're missing out on the opportunity to have the person actually just complete checkout. But now you have an additional step where the person has to see other products that they may or may not like. Now, if they do like the product and if they are willing to add it to the cart, then it's great. You have a higher average order value. But what if they don't like any of those products and then they start browsing for more products on your website and eventually they do not complete the checkout of the first product? Because this is how users behave today, right? Let's say you are running cold ads on Facebook and Instagram. They like a catchy product, they put it in the cart, and within a minute or so, they lose the attention. They go through your catalog and they get confused and they abandon the cart. And 60% of the carts in e-commerce on an average are abandoned. So it's not a rare scenario. Now, if that happens, you lose a conversion. So your conversion rate goes down. So as you see, this experiment of frequently bought together or upselling, for example, or showing other products when someone adds a product to cart is actually an AOV improvement or AOV optimization experiment at the cost of conversion rate because it can hamper your conversion rates. Another example is if you are looking only at conversion rate. So let's say someone who adds a product to cart, and let's say your average ticket size, your average product value is around $50 or above, and you say that for every $50 order you get free shipping. So you are sure that with one product people are going to get free shipping. So you're not looking at AOV. What you're looking at is conversion rate optimization, right? So that $50 order, you are giving free shipping in order for the person to immediately check out and complete the purchase. But now you're missing out on the opportunity of improving the average order value. Because what if you had free shipping above $100 and your products on an average were priced at $50? Now a user on an average would have to buy 2 products in order to get free shipping. So that's going to improve your average order value. But now you're saying you get free shipping on every $50. So that's going to improve your conversion rate, but actually affect your average order value. So that's the reason why this advice is something that I would give. If you're starting out with your store or experiments, you first need to find a stable conversion rate. So focus on one metric at a time. And the second advice is focus on the conversion rate first. So first find a stable conversion rate and then move to AOV experiments. And the reason why this is so helpful is because first you need to know what your funnel looks like. So if 100 people are coming to your store, how many people are converting? So get the first 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 people to your store and keep running CRO experiments to first find a stable conversion rate. And once you know that you are at the industry standard conversion rate, let's say you are a store starting out at 0.5%, you reach 0.8%, you cross 1%, you cross 1.5%, you cross 2%, and at 2.5%, you think you are in your industry standard conversion rate, which could be an industry standard for multiple industries, then you can start experimenting on the average order value. All right, tip number 3. Tip number 3 is that with conversion rate optimization experiments, you should always experiment with one stage of the conversion funnel at a time. So let's look at a typical user journey on an e-commerce checkout process. So first you're going to see the product either from the homepage or the collection page or directly from your acquisition source, let's say your ad traffic. Once you're on the product page, you have to go from viewing the product to adding the product to the cart. That's the first stage. Once you've added the product to the cart, you have to go from adding the product to the cart to actually adding your contact information in the first step of the checkout. Once you've completed your contact information, you want the user to add the shipping. So from contact to shipping, from shipping to actually the payment or the transaction. So those are the different stages of the conversion funnel. And usually I would recommend you to do one experiment with one stage at a time. So let's say you're doing your experiment on your cart page. So do just one experiment on the cart page. So now you're able to see how many people are actually going from cart to checkout. Similarly, if you're doing experiments on the product page, do one change at a time on the product page so you know which change on the product page has led to more people going from the product page to the cart page. So for every stage of the conversion funnel, do one experiment at a time. Now you can do experiments across the stages as long as you do a single experiment in each stage of the funnel, and then you're able to track the percentage conversion rates of each stage of the funnel individually. And you can do this with Google Analytics or any analytics platform that you have, or internally with the tool that you use for your e-commerce store, whether it's Shopify or WooCommerce or whatever tool that you use. So make sure that you do one experiment for each stage at a time. Tip number 4 is to do experiments either with split testing in terms of the pages or with testing in terms of the time duration. So what I would suggest is you can do experiments by split testing the page using tools like Google Optimize or plugins for your e-commerce store, where you can take people to 2 instances of the page, split the traffic, and then get results. But what you can also do is you can take people for 2 weeks to a different page and all the traffic for the next 2 weeks to a different page, and then see the conversions. Now, usually I would recommend to define your cohorts. So if you're defining 1 month as one cohort, then you'll have 15 days for one set of traffic and 15 days for the second set of traffic. And that'll be a good CRO experiment or an AOV experiment, whichever metric you're focusing on. And finally, tip number 5 is to find golden experiments that can improve both conversion rate and AOV at the same time. Now, there are some beautiful experiments that you can think of which can actually boost both your metrics at the same time. And once you've gone through the experimentation process a couple of times, once you've been able to reach a stable conversion rate and also a decent average order value, you can then start thinking of ways to improve both the metrics. Now, I gave an example about free shipping earlier. Now, there is a huge set of people who actually do not like to buy products that do not have free shipping. So let's say you are giving a free shipping on a minimum order, which is not as high as adding 2 big products to cart, but maybe it's enough to have 1 product and 1 small add-on product to cart. So you're not expecting a very high AOV, but you're still expecting an improvement on the base product. And you offer free shipping when they have this product and the add-on to cart. So let's say if your AOV of your store is around $50, you start offering free shipping for orders above $60. So you look at the average, you look at the store average first, and then you see, I'm going to just push this up by, let's say, 20%. And I just want to push this up, by a few points. So I just want to take it from $50 to $60. I don't want to say $100 free shipping, because that becomes a pure AOV experiment. And if you say $50 in free shipping, since your AOV is already $50, that becomes a pure CRO experiment, because now you're not going to improve your AOV at all. So when you say, I'm going to do $60 plus free shipping, after you look at your data on the store and you find that your average AOV is $50, so you're actually pushing the AOV a little bit, but you're also improving conversions, because a lot of people actually would buy only when they get free shipping, and a $10 add-on is not such a big step for it to come in the way of conversions. So that's an experiment that you can actually run based on the data of your store to improve both CRO and AOV experiments at the same time. Now, these are more unicorn experiments because they improve the business at both metrics. And these 2 are the key metrics for any e-commerce business. They can also help you project your growth, your revenue, and eventually, if you know how much you're spending in acquisition, you know your AOV, you can also project what your bottom line of the business is going to be. So those are some ideas and some data points that you can consider. So start drafting your own experiments and use these tips to optimize your CRO and AOV for your e-commerce business. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.